Hi, thank you so much for joining my channel. I just wanted to come in and tell you a little bit about the video you're about to see. So this video is specifically for a family that is on an extreme budget to help you and anybody else that's watching see that you can have delicious meals on a shoestring budget. Now, I'm going to assume that you only have salt and pepper and we're going to buy everything else. At the same time, you'll notice that I use this green marinade, and it's in one of my videos. That is the key to keeping these meals on budget and delicious. So, that being said, I also want to note that with that 5-pound bag of rice, we were able to eat for 5 days using 2 cups of rice per meal. The 10-pound bag of chicken, it came out to 17 pieces of chicken. In order to stretch a budget even further for a large family, what you want to do is you want to cut that chicken up and you want to distribute it throughout meals so everybody can get a good sized portion. If you came here for gluten-free, GMO-free, keto-friendly, that's not what this video is about. This video is for an extreme budget. There's lots of situations why an extreme budget is needed. Maybe you're saving for something very big and spectacular. Maybe a situation happened and that's all that's available right now. This video is also not going to be a very veggie friendly video. This is for an extreme budget. If you came to food shame, this video is not for you. This video is to show you and everybody out there that you can eat delicious meals for next to nothing. Because if you're trying to save and you're trying to budget, one of the first places you can cut your budget is in your groceries. And I plan on making tons of these videos because, like I said, we're fortunate enough to not have to be on an extreme budget, but why not be on one? There's tons of things I can spend my money on, like retirement, like vacations. So if you're interested in that type of content, this is a video for you, and I hope that you stick around. Please be sure to subscribe, share, like, because I have tons of these videos coming out. At the same time, I think I'm going to split this video up because it'll be really long. I'm going to try to include a screenshot of the items as they're priced at Walmart. The total came out to $17.17. I did not go to Walmart and purchase any of these items because I had them. So I used the items based on what the sizes were had I went to purchase them. I wasn't going to purchase them because the whole point was to save money. These should be staple items that you have anyway. When everybody was locked down, a lot of these things were missing in the stores. So it's important that you stock up on basic items like this. So with that being said, I have the items, so I didn't have to go purchase them. But I wanted to show you what it will look like if you went to your local Walmart and purchased it. It might be cheaper. It might just be that my area is a little more expensive. The whole point is I'm going to show you how to make 42 servings. I have a family of 6. We're going to be making 7 delicious meals on a shoestring budget. So without further ado, let's get to it. Be curry chicken and white rice. There you saw the bag of chicken that I used. I divided into 5. Also, here are the ingredients. There's a screenshot of the price list for Walmart if you have to go to Walmart and purchase it. Like I said, I had the items, so a lot of the items I did not have to purchase. But if you have certain things, you do not have to purchase those items. So our chicken has been washed, cleaned with the lemon juice and the lime. That's what you saw that there for. So here you see me adding some salt and pepper. Those are to taste. The curry powder, I added about 2 tablespoons, you'll see here. But that is also to taste. But beware that the curry powder can be a thickener, so you don't want to add too much here. So also to keep in mind, if you're able to, if you have more money in your budget, this would be a perfect time to add maybe some more onions, some green peppers, some potatoes, some carrots in order to stretch the meal even further. But remember, we're working on an extreme budget, so we're not adding that here. The green marinade that you'll see coming right up is going to add all the veggies that you would have added anyway, with the exception of course, the starchy veggies. So I added about 1.5 tablespoons of the green marinade, and you're going to stir to coat very well. You want to make sure that all the pieces are coated very nicely, and you're going to let this sit on its own for as long as you can. I ended up letting mine sit for about an hour. If you can let it sit overnight, that's even better, but you want to make sure that you get all of the pieces coated very nicely. Normally I would use my hands, but for you guys I'm using a fork. And as you can see here, I added a little bit more curry because it seemed that my chicken needed some more. So like I said, if your chicken looks like it needs more of anything, you do that on your own. That green marinade is gonna bring out the flavors. So really the curry is to add color and a little bit of like I said, I'm gonna let this sit for about an hour, and then I'm gonna get a pot ready, and then I'm gonna get my rice ready. Everybody should know how to do this, but just in case you do not, I put 2 cups of rice in a bowl. I'm gonna take it to rinse it. I rinse it about 3 times. And then I'm just adding it to my rice cooker because it is easier. If you don't have a rice cooker, you can do it on the stove on low heat. But the rice cooker is perfect for me because I can handle other things while I am cooking the rice. So to this rice, to the 2 cups of rice, I'm going to be putting 3 cups of water. And the reason why I don't do the 2-to-1 ratio in this case, that's because I washed the rice. So some people would say 2 cups of rice, you need 4 cups of water. In this case, I like my rice to be nice and fluffy but not soft. So that's why I only used that much water. Just to let you know that 2 cups of rice also yield about 3 cups of cooked rice. So keep that in mind whenever you're cooking rice. So this is gonna work perfectly for my family. So here I have a pan, and in the pan I'm putting about 3 tablespoons of oil, and you're gonna let that heat a little bit, but you don't want it to be super hot because you're adding the curry to it, and you're gonna move it rapidly because you do not want the curry to burn. I was told that you needed to cook your curry from my parents because it would make you sick. I don't know how true that is, but I do know it gives it a wonderful color. So that's what I've always done. So here I'm adding my chicken into the curry and oil mixture. And I just want to give it a little bit of color because color is flavor. And remember, we're working on a limited budget, so we want to get as much flavor out of this food as possible. So we're gonna brown it. And in this case, because we're not frying it, it's okay to crowd the pot. And you just want to make sure that everything is fitting nicely, everything is touching the bottom of the pan. As I was putting my pieces in, I just wanted to make sure that my middle pieces, because the middle of my stove cooks faster than the other sides. So as you can see, that piece started to brown, so I flipped that over and then I'm checking the other pieces to see how they're doing. And you want to make sure that nothing's sticking. So here I'm just making sure that all my pieces are good to go. Nothing is starting to burn because that is the worst. You do not want anything to burn here. If it starts to burn, you're gonna have to reduce your heat. And at this time, my heat is on about a medium high because I am just trying to brown the chicken. I'm not trying to cook it at this time. So there I put my lid on, and the chicken is actually going to give a little water, and at the same time it's gonna brown, but it's not gonna brown too fast. So I'm just flipping over the chicken to make sure everything's good, and I'm scraping the bottom of the pan to make sure that nothing is burning, nothing is sticking, and that good pan dripping is just not burning, because we need that. It's all flavor. And I'm just moving everything around. And I believe I reduced my heat a little bit here, because depending on how quickly your food is cooking, you want to just monitor it. So again, I came back and checked my meat, stirred it around. This would be a good time to put your potatoes in, and your carrots or anything like that, because here's where you add the water. And to that I added about a cup of water just to get all that good pan dripping up, and move the chicken around, make sure that everything's distributed. But yeah, that's where you want to add your veggies at, so that they can begin to cook. And then I let that cook for about 10 minutes. And as you can see, the water started to reduce, and the chicken is getting all that good flavor, and it's starting to break down. So to this chicken, I'm adding 1/3 cup of coconut milk. So that's where the coconut milk came in. You're going to use the coconut milk for some other recipes, but you only need about 1/3 cup of coconut milk. That's to add another dimension of flavor, and also to help thicken our gravy just a little bit. Because remember, you're trying to make your serving stretch, so you want to have a lot of gravy to put over that rice. Maybe somebody wants more rice and they want chicken, so you want to have a delicious gravy to put over your rice. And as you can see here, everything's reduced down, so that gravy looks good. So now we're going to turn our attention to the rice, and that cooked up beautifully. See, nothing's sticking, nothing's too thick. And here I'm just gonna plate up this chicken and this rice for you. And this is a typical serving for my family. Now, if you had extra veggies, like I said, you know, you could put it in the curried chicken, or you can put it on the side, but we're working on an extreme budget, so this is what we're going to use. And I'm just plating this chicken. This is enough chicken for my family, so I put a little gravy over this, and I'm going to show you how much chicken was still inside the pan after serving this one particular dish. See, there's still a considerable amount of gravy and chicken, so you guys could even go back for seconds. I mean, depending on how much your family eats. This is what my family likes. And there's the first meal, curry chicken and white rice. Okay, so now we're moving to our second meal, which is black beans and coconut rice. So my beans have been soaking overnight, and I added a piece of garlic and a bay leaf to this. You do not have to do this, but I had it on hand, so that's what I used. But it just adds another dimension of flavor. So those soaked, the beans doubled in size. I'm going to go rinse off the beans and bring them back. I went ahead and boiled all the black beans. I ended up cooking the entire pack of beans in about 5 cups of water. When the beans are fully cooked after 2 hours, we're going to need to reserve the 5 cups of water. And I'm just plating out 3 different portions of beans because I'm going to use 2 portions for the recipe that I'm going to share right now, and then the other cup or so of beans that I had left are going into another recipe that I'll be sharing on part 2. But for this, I needed to separate out my 3 cups of beans. So I'm going to bring back that reserved liquid, and I'm going to put about 2 cups of that liquid to about 1.5 cups of the beans, and I'm going to cover and I'm going to let that cook for about an hour because I want to be able to come in and mash that. And I still have about 1.5 cups of the beans that are sitting off to the side, and I'll bring that back a little bit later on. So to a larger pot, I've added about 3 tablespoons of oil. Here's that green marinade again. You guys are not going to get enough of this green marinade. It is so good and it tastes different in every meal. So I'm going to cook the marinade because remember the marinade is fresh herbs and vegetables and it does need to be cooked. So I'm just cooking it in the oil and to make sure that it does not burn. So you're gonna cook that on about a medium high. Pay very close attention to it as you're cooking it. I'm adding some salt and some pepper to this. And I'm just gonna stir that around to make sure that everything's distributed. Make sure everything's getting cooked but not burnt. So you just keep stirring it until you get it to a doneness that you like, because you're gonna come in and you're gonna be adding your water and your coconut milk. So you wanna make sure that everything is nice and cooked through. So it takes, in my opinion, about 1 minute to 2 minutes to cook it, depending on how high you're cooking it. So to the green marinade, once it's cooked to your liking, you're gonna add in about 1 cup of the coconut milk and you're gonna stir it around to make sure that it gets incorporated with that green marinade and all those flavors meld together. And you're gonna let that come to a simmer, but you're gonna keep a close eye on it because you do not want it to burn. But I just want that coconut milk to kind of get to know that green marinade. So I'm stirring it around, letting it come to a simmer. So just keep stirring it until it gets to a light simmer. Make sure it's not burning. And here you can see, I was trying to make sure you guys could see, but then the steam took over. So here I'm adding my water. Remember, I'm adding 3 cups of water. So in total, we should have about 4 cups of liquid here because we're gonna add our 2 cups of rice. That is gonna be our going number for rice. So we're gonna stir that to make sure all that gets incorporated. And you want all those ingredients to get to know each other. So I'm gonna add a little salt, a little pepper, and this is where you want to add to taste. So you're gonna stir, you're gonna add more salt and pepper if needed. And then to the pot, I'm adding the 2 cups of rinsed rice. And the reason why I'm adding a little more here is because I'm cooking it on the stove and I can kind of control my rice better here, and I like it to kind of simmer down before I cover it. So that's where we're going with this 2-to-1 ratio. So to the 2 cups of rice, I'm adding the 4 cups of liquid. So 1 cup of coconut milk and 3 cups of water. And then the salt, pepper, and your green marinade is all in this pot getting to know each other. And you're just gonna stir it to make sure that everything's fully incorporated. And then you're gonna cover it once it's kind of simmered down a little bit. Okay, so now we're gonna turn our attention to the beans. So the beans have been cooking for about an hour, And here I started mashing it with a fork. I don't know why I was doing that. So I went and grabbed my potato masher and just started mashing the beans down. You mash it down to the consistency that you like. I like to have a little texture, but I also like the liquid to be a little thick. So I'm just mashing it here. And remember, these beans were already cooked after we let them sit overnight. So they actually could have been eaten as is, but we are going to make a black bean sauce out of this. So that's why you want to make sure that you mash it. So now we're going to use the remaining liquid. So the liquid that we used to cook the beans came out to be about 5 cups of liquid. So I added the liquid back here, and that's to your taste. I ended up putting about 3 cups of liquid, and if you don't have enough liquid, you can put some water to it. And then you're going to add back your beans into your bean pot. And now I'm turning my attention to the right. See how perfect it came out, and it's got tons of flavor. You can even see the flavor. So now I'm turning my attention back to the beans that have been cooking for about 5 minutes, just checking it to make sure that everything's thickening up. The beans have been crushed. Like I said, I put a little bit more water in it so that it could thicken on up. And it is nice and thick. And I did not have a clip of me plating it, but this is what it turned out to be, and that was the serving size that was perfect for my family. And now we're moving on to our final meal for this video, and this is stewed chicken with veggie rice. And here you see me adding the salt, the pepper, and of course our green marinade. So this, I added about 2 tablespoons of the green marinade. I wanted to make sure I coated everything. And I actually let this chicken sit a little bit longer because it is the main dish here. So I really wanted it to get tons of flavor. So to my pot, I'm adding oil. I believe this is about 1/3 cup of oil because I'm not only browning the chicken, but I'm also going to cook the chicken in this pan. So something to note, I actually added some of the frozen veggies onto the chicken. When I started stirring it around, it looked like it needed a little more color, so I added some of the frozen pepper and onions to it. Something else to keep in mind is to make sure that you shake off the excess veggies so they do not burn in your pot. Unlike me, who was doing 12 things at one time, I just wanted to get the meat in the pot, and you want it to come to a brown. And as you can see, one side of my pot was getting hotter than the other for some reason, so I moved everything over and I let it become brown. Now, if your chicken starts to splatter oil, you can cover it and continue to cook it. This is on about a medium-high heat. I started off really high to let the chicken really get brown, but then I reduced it down so that it could brown without burning because I forgot to take out the veggies. So you're just going to keep turning it because you don't want anything to burn. And it doesn't have to fully cook around this time, because what you're going to do is you're going to actually add your water to the pot. And here I added about a cup of water, and I'm just moving everything around and making sure that the water is getting to the bottom of the pan to pull up all of the drippings that are at the bottom of the pan. Cover the pot, let it cook for about 15 minutes. Come back in, shift everything around to make sure everything's doing okay. So you want to come back in with some more water to this marinade that we had sitting on the side. And then I just poured about a cup of water to that marinade, put it back on the stove, covered it again, let it sit for about 20 minutes and let it steam, because remember, this is a stewed chicken, so you want it to break down a little bit. And how much gravy it produces is up to you. I wanted my chicken to cook a little bit more because, as I said, it's stewed chicken, and I like my stewed chicken broken down a little bit more. And I like a little more gravy here. And as stated before, if you have extra potatoes or carrots or any other veggies, this is where you would put it. But again, this is an extreme budget video and we're just trying to extract the flavor. So here I'm just checking to make sure everything's cooked, everything's browning, nothing's stuck. My gravy's delicious. So I've already made some rice off camera. I took about half a cup of rice out because my daughter did not want veggies in her rice. So to about a cup and a half of rice, I added 1/3 cup of the veggie mix, the frozen veggie mix, and the rice was still hot. So I did not have to cook the veggies. They were already frozen and they thaw as you're making your rice. Now that's up to you if you want to sit it in the microwave for a second. I did not do that. I just mixed around my veggies with the rice, and then I plated it with the chicken and a little gravy, and this is the portion that I'm serving. And there you have it, guys. 3 dinners that were served for 6 people, which made 18 meals, and they were totally delicious. So I hope you come back and join me for part 2. Please be sure to subscribe, comment below on what you would like to see, or how you would change up the meals. Be sure to like, and I'll see you in the next one.